To do problems 32 through 36, we're going to use the Binome Pdf function and the Binome Cdf function. Now both of these functions can be accessed by pressing second and vars. The vars key is just to the left of the clear button on your graphing calculator. So if you press second and vars, and then you'll have to scroll up, and you'll see Binome PDF, and that should be choice A. Binome CDF would be choice B. And that's for most calculators. There's a possibility yours may be a little different. You may have Binome PDF as 0 and Binome CDF as A, but most of you will have A and B. So those are the functions we're using, and we're going to use second and vars to get there. So they're two different functions, and they're used in different situations. So let's clear this off. Let's take a look at problem number 32. In this case, we want to know the probability of rolling a number less than or equal to 3 exactly 50 times. Now this one is exactly 50 times. When it's one particular number, that's when we use, let me do this before. I want to find the probability of exactly 50 successes, and I use the Binome PDF function there. And one way to remember that is to think that P stands for a particular number. P actually stands for probability there, but that's not helpful because they're all probabilities. So this is only when you have an exact number of successes. Just one particular number. Okay, so we're going to do Binome PDF. First we put in the number of trials. Well, we're going to roll the die 200 times, so number of trials is 200, comma. Probability of success, it's a 10-sided die, and we want to know the probability of rolling a number less than or equal to 3. So that would be 1 or 2 or 3. There's 3 choices out of 10, so 0.3. And then finally, the number of successes. So whatever number is here, that's what I put over here. And this equals, once we round it to 4 decimal places, it's going to equal 0.0190. And that's how you do number 32. Now in number 33, we want to know what is the probability of rolling a number less than or equal to 3 at most 50 times. So in this case, since it's at most 50 times, we're finding the probability of getting anywhere from 0 to 50 successes. So 50 is the maximum, anything below 50 is good, and we can't have less than 0 successes. So we have a range of values here, and whenever you have a range of values, that's when you use the Binome CDF function. And again, we put in the number of trials, comma, probability of success. And now what we're going to enter, it's going to look pretty similar to the last one. We're going to put in the maximum number of successes, but we can only do that when the number of successes starts at 0. The calculator will only calculate the probability of 0 to a particular number of successes. So in this case, we do have the range of values starting at 0. So I go ahead and type in 50, and I get 0.0695. Now in the next problem, number 34, let's see, we have the probability of rolling a number less than or equal to 3 more than 50 times. So now we've got more than 50. So that means we want to find the probability of over 50, which is 51 to 200, because 200 is the maximum, or it's the number of trials. So what is the probability of 51 to 200? Well, remember I said the calculator will only let you get the correct answer if we're starting with 0, and we're not starting with 0 here. So what we're going to do to turn this around is we're going to say the probability of 51 to 200 successes. Well, let me write this range of values down at the bottom. You could have 0 successes, or 1, or 2. I'm not going to write out everything. So on. And then we could have 51 successes, and so on, and anywhere up to 200 successes. And what we're saying here is that we want the probability of 51 to 200 successes. Since we have to start at 0, we need to use this range of values from 0 to what? So we don't want these two ranges to overlap, so I'm going to say 0 to 50 successes. Now, this is not going to give us the correct answer, so we're going to have to say, well, it's the opposite, so I'm going to do 1 minus probability of 0 to 50 successes. So now we have something starting at 0, and it'll give us the correct answer because we have compensated for the fact that we're using the opposite by doing 1 minus. So this is just the complement rule in probability. Well, we just found the probability of 0 to 50 successes. So I could write this out as 1 minus Binome Cdf, and you can type it into the calculator that way. But since I already know this probability for 0 to 50 is 0.0695, I'll just go ahead and subtract that from 1, and I get 0.9305. And that's the answer for number 34. So, up to this point we've used Binompdf, Binome Cdf, and then just in the last one we've done 1 minus Binome Cdf. So the last two problems are similar. We're still using a range of values. We're still going to be using Binome Cdf or 1 minus Binome Cdf. So let's take a look at that now. I'm going to clear this out. And let's see what we've got. Okay, in number 35, now we want the probability of rolling a number less than or equal to 3 less than 50 times. So if it has to be less than 50, that's anything from 0 to 49. Now this starts with 0, so we're good to go. And I'm going to say this equals Binome Cdf, because it's a range of values, 200, 0.3, 49. And I get 0.0506, rounded to 4 decimal places. And finally, for number 36, now I want the probability of getting at least 50 times a number less than or equal to 3. So at least 50 means 50 is the smallest to the highest, which is 200. And again, we're not starting at 0, so this is not going to work in the calculator. So I have to do 1 minus the probability of 0 to 49 successes. Remember that this interval can't overlap with this interval, but we don't want to leave out any values either. So now we have 1 minus Binome Cdf. And I'm writing it out, but I don't really have to because we just did this in the last problem. 0.3, 49, and this will give me 0.9494. So that's how you do that group of problems.